Hi friends, welcome. It's so great to be here with you. I hope you're ready to have an amazing time together today, creating some beautiful festive Christmas projects that I think you'll absolutely love. I know we're in June and it seems a little bit early to think and talk and learn about all things Christmas, but I don't know about you. I think Christmas comes around every year. It seems like it comes around a little bit sooner. It's hard to believe that we're less than 6 months away, right? But nobody needs that reminder. So if you and I have not met, my name is Emily with Heartfelt Creations, and I'm excited to just spend a lot of fun time with you this afternoon. We're already right here in the studio. So if you are ready, we're just going to go ahead and get started very soon. Before we get started, I'd like to know who's watching. Don't be shy. I can see your comments. I have been watching them. I love to see your names pop up and you letting me know where you're from. So hi, Laura from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Kieran from California. Hello, Beulah from New Zealand. You're up bright and early. Janet, hello, friend. Ronnie Sue from Ontario. Helen from Louisiana. Speaking of Canada, oh my goodness, it's been crazy, all the wildfires that have been happening. We're in Indiana and we've actually been having a lot of smog and smoke from those wildfires. So I can't even imagine how it is for those of you that are in those areas. So hi, Minerva from Texas. It's great to see you. Elizabeth, Jeannie from Michigan, Leila. You said you're from Sweden. Welcome. I know there are crafters from all around the globe watching live today, and for some of you, you are going to be rewatching. So welcome. We're so glad that you are here, whether you're watching live or watching the recording. So Elizabeth from Idaho and Carrie from Norway. If I butcher your names, I'm so sorry. Elizabeth from Vancouver. You said you can't wait. And hello, Suzette. It's great to see you. Okay, so one of you said you keep getting an error for code 22001. I'm not sure what code you're referring to, but if you can email our customer care team at info@heartfeltcreations.us, they can help you with that. Bonnie from South Carolina. Hi, Lillian from New York City. Okay, so before we get started, if this is your very first time, I just want to say welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. I just love to see so many familiar names. We're going to have a lot of fun learning these tips and techniques together. However, if it is your first time, one of the top things that crafters that have taken these classes many times, a couple tips from them. The first time you watch, you are seeing and learning new things. So the best thing to do is just really sit down with your favorite beverage, maybe a snack, and just enjoy and really learn and absorb what I will be teaching, because the truth of the matter is I know exactly what I'll be teaching, what I'll be doing. So it might be a little bit difficult to try and keep up if you're trying to make a project with me in class. So what we recommend is the first time around, just watch it, and then you can always go back and re-watch it. And with the recording, you can do a space, pause it, go to the next step. So you can really do it at your pace, which is amazing. And we absolutely love that. And I always like to kind of, use the analogy of when you're creating a project like we're going to be creating today, it can look a little bit complex or complicated. And it feels like that anytime you're doing something new. For some of you, you're like, okay, I've got this, I'm good. But for those of you that have those things that pop up, it's just really like plugging in a destination on Google Maps. You've never been there before. But when you plug in that destination and you make a left turn here, you make a right turn here, eventually you will arrive at that destination with the beautiful project that you have created, which I'm so excited for you to experience. So with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started, and we're going to create this beautiful box first, and then we'll venture off from there. So are you ready? If you are ready, I'm ready. I love seeing your introductions, and I'm going to look at those as we take a quick look at the box. Hi, Chris. It's great to see you. Thank you for helping. Diane from Canada, Donna from Missouri, Luz from Florida, Lucille from Arkansas, Debbie from Utah. Okay, and Deborah from New Mexico. If I'm repeating your names. Okay, so very good. So this is going to be the very first project that we're creating. If you saw your emails, you should have gotten your homework with the PDF on how to cut all your things prior to the class, and you can do that at your convenience, but it has all the sizes, the different sheets of paper, all that good stuff. So that is going to be your point of reference when you are getting ready to do this class. So in the class, sometimes I do reference sizes, but oftentimes what you'll do is you'll go through the PDF and cut all the pieces to size so that when you are working with me and following my directions, you can focus more on assembling and learning the tips and techniques in the class. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. I love this little box, and I love how this belly band is using the clear cardstock, which gives it kind of that clear, more translucent look, yet it's so elegant. Now, as we go through, obviously this is a Christmas themed class. However, you could use these tips and techniques and switcheroo it out and use it for all occasions throughout the year. It would be great as gift favors, for weddings. You can do so much with these boxes. This is another project that we're going to create together today, along with this slider box. So I think you and I are going to have a lot of fun together. So we're going to get started with this little mini box first, and then go from there. So as we get started, I would love to hear what you are excited about learning in this class, and I want to make sure that we cover all those things as well. Now, this class is interactive, so the more you chat, the more you draw out of me, and the more that you also kind of, when you say something, I'm like, oh, right, and it really reminds me of some different things that I might have learned in the past. So as you interact with me in the comments, that really helps to spark some more creativity within me as well. So I can't wait to see what comes out, because we're live, so who knows what can happen. So, and if there's mistakes that happen along the way, that's always a chance for you to see how I recover from them. And that's a great thing that I always love to see. What's going to happen? So with this one, we're going to start with the base of the box, which is this interior. Now, if you've never really made boxes, or you are directionally and measurementally challenged, okay, we have our first new word of the day, measurementally. I am measurementally challenged. So I always have to think. So it's great for me when I'm teaching to really think that through. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a 12 by 12 piece of paper, and as you're doing this, if you feel intimidated by measurements and where you're supposed to score and cut, just remember it's a piece of paper. If you make a mistake, it's a-okay. So that really takes the intimidation factor out of it and helps you to just really focus on learning and just have some fun along the way. So this is a 12 by 12 piece of paper, and we're going to score all the way around on the 1 3/4 inch side and 4 inches. So we're going to start that first. For this specific box, I do like to have a score pal with all the little notches. I have some bigger ones. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with this one because it has a lot of lines, which can kind of mess you up sometimes, and it can also be a blessing. So I don't know if you have this one or not, but it's the one with I think it has the score lines every 16th inch. Okay, so I did 1 3/4 inches, and then we'll go to the 4 inches, and you'll do that. I'm going to move my paper along each side. I could have done the other side too, but I like to just make sure it's all squared up. So that was 1 3/4 and 4 inches, and you'll do that all around on all 4 sides, okay? So that is the base of this box, and I just find that having some box dimensions like this really equips you to create those little boxes to put special gifts in, say it's birthday, wedding, anniversary. It's just a unique way to give somebody a gift that is really a gift from the heart. Once you have that all squared away, you have a sheet with lots of score lines. Now the next step, you might feel a little bit intimidated, or wait, how do I do this? Because we are going to make cuts in here. And what I am going to tell you too is you're going to have a side where it's more just straight, and then you'll have another side going this way that has the tabs, and that's the way I'm going to notch these. Now, whichever way you do this and whichever way you choose to make these tabs doesn't matter, because this is a square box. So you just want to make sure that you have a set of 2 tabs on each side, and the rest really doesn't matter. Okay, so Janet said, that's funny, me too. I'm guessing you're talking about the measurementally challenged. So you can say you've already learned something new. If that was a new word for you, it was a new word for me. But we are going to make a cut into all the way into that inner score line to create this flap here. So we'll do that on both sides. Just pick a side. So you're going to make a cut all the way to this middle score line. So you'll pass the first one and go to the second one. So we're going to do that first. If it works better for you, you could take a pencil and you could make pencil lines where you want those cuts to be if you forget. Now I am going to go ahead and start all the way up here at the top because we do want to have a cut all the way to that last score line. And then I'm just going to lift my blade up and I'm going to start at that first score line and go all the way out. That's a very simple way to create that first flap in there. So we'll flip that around, go to the other side. So this is really that inner 4-inch mark. So we'll do that same thing up here. You'll start at the top, just take your cutting blade and take it all the way to that second score line. Lift your blade up and you'll start at that 4-inch mark on the other side and go all the way out to the edge. So there you have those straight lines cut, okay? So you have that on opposite sides, and that is cutting these tabs right here, okay? So now we're going to reverse it and do it a tad differently. And this is where you might find yourself, it's up to you how you want to do this next section. You might find some ways easier than what I'm doing, so you just figure out which way works best for you. If you still want to use the trimmer, you can, or just go in, you flip this around, and this is where we're just going to cut with our scissors up to the first score line. And this is coming in, so here's the first score line here, here's the second one, and you cut right up here. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to trim this off. Okay, and this is where we're really creating that little tab. Now, since this is a little tab and this is going to be folded, you don't really have to worry about this being super straight, but if you wanted it to, you can. Now the tab, you can have a 1/2 inch, you can have the tab at 3/4 inches, it really doesn't matter. I just used the eyeballing technique. I just want to have a little tab here. So same way over here. So you have the first score line from here to here. Just go ahead, cut down to the first score line in here, then flip it around, and the first score line in here, you're just going to go ahead, trim all the way over, and you're leaving a little bit of cardstock here in the middle to just create this tab. And if you're struggling with kind of following those directions or it doesn't make sense, just practice, practice, practice. So we have this side. So you have those 2 tabs. Now we're going to go to this side. So this one again, just cut in to that first score line, flip it over, and you're going to cut into the second score line on this one. And then you're creating your tab. So this piece right here is just left intact so that you can make that tag, or tab, not tag. So how are all of you doing today? Minerva, you said you love making boxes of all different types and sizes. Always good to have measurements. Yes. Okay, so for this one again, you're going to go ahead and just cut down to that first score line, and then over here, cut right into that corner. That releases it. And then you'll have this tab and you have your box base. Isn't that awesome? I love it. We have already made our first base. Now the next thing you want to do is you just want to go in and cut some angles so that when you go to fold these, you're going to have the angle cut in so that nothing extends out the outside. So one of the things that's a little bit unique about the boxes today is we could have just had these cut off up here, but if you have it folded down, it gives it a more of a nice curved, strong border for your box. And you'll see what I mean a little bit further down the road. Okay, so what you're gonna do is cut these angles. And how big those angles are really doesn't matter. You are just going in and you are cutting an angle on each of these flaps. So every flap has an angle. So literally every edge that is exposed has an angle. And if you are cutting, you're like, oh my gosh, did I get all of them? When you fold, if you missed one of them, trust me, you'll see. And that's okay if you missed one. So I just go around my box and just cut those angles in. And I'm not super picky about how those angles are. If you wanted to snip them in or cut them in with your paper trimmer, you can totally do that. I just use the eyeballing technique on mine. So again, just go right around all those edges and just cut an angle. And you'll do that on all those outer flaps. And that really gets it looking like a legit box. Isn't that so cool? I love how quickly that starts to look like a very realistic box. Isn't that cool? There you have it. So all those pieces are all cut, all ready to go. Okay. So one of you said, me and boxes don't have a happy time together. You know, if you struggle, the biggest key for you is just practice, practice, practice. The more you do, the more confident you get. The biggest thing for these is that your score lines are straight. Because the tabs and the things that I was cutting, where I was saying I'm just using the eyeballing technique, those it really doesn't matter. So once you, if they're cut straight, it's just more your score lines want to be straight, and any edges that will be exposed on the top. So for these, you fold everything up and inward and just give everything a nice fold. Okay, so what you're gonna do next is we're gonna focus on, here's the tab I missed. We're going to focus on just gluing these short little tabs up, and that will make our box, and then we'll glue the top flaps down, okay? So I am probably going, you'll see me switcherooing between hot glue and dry as clear glue today, depending on what we're doing. Depends on the size of the tab. Hot glue, the cool part about it is it bonds instantly. The dry is clear, you have time to move it around. So if I have long areas or strips that need to be adhered that I think are going to dry before I tack them down, I will just use the dry's clear glue. However, when I am teaching in class, I do like to use the dry's clear, or the hot glue if I can, just so that it sticks so I can continue to move along with it. But at home, you can totally do it how you, whatever works best for you. So here we go in for the third side. And then we are ready for that fourth side. And you'll see that just come together beautifully. And then we're ready to fold these top flaps down. Okay? So we're just going to go ahead and fold that open. And we'll glue that shut. And when you do this, what you're looking for is just that those corners are all squared away. And you have that box. Thank you, Eva. You are so kind. I love your feedback. You're awesome. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just fold these out. So as you can see, like the top flaps are totally optional. Those are the ones that are going to be folded down. So that gives you a nice curvature on the top, so it's not just a raw cardstock edge, which I think is really cool. For these in the center, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and use my dry as clear glue to glue these flaps down, since it's not as crucial that I have it fast drying. So just go ahead and glue those all down. Now for this inside box, this is totally up to you. The one that we have today, we did not do this, but if you wanted to, you could go back and you could decorate the inside with pattern paper if you want to. Totally up to you. If you do that, it would be using the same size we did for the outer edge and for the top of the box. It would just have to be cut down just a little bit because the box lid is just a little bit bigger, but I think you'll be able to, the base is 4x4, so you would just cut a little bit smaller than the 4x4 for your layering. Okay. Chris said, good tip, Lucille. I like to save my paper. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay, I love how you guys share your tips and techniques. We learn from each other. That's amazing. Janie, you said you're watching from Montana. You love making boxes and having the perfect dimensions, and me showing you. Yay, that's a win-win all around, right? Okay, so we have that all done. That is our base. So super simple, very easy to do, and it still looks like you spent quite a bit of time to that. Now, when I say simple and easy, that is once you feel confident, you know, with how you're supposed to do that, a score line, and you feel like you're more in the flow of it, especially, you know, anytime you're doing something new, it can feel a little bit difficult just because it's something new for you. And especially if you're measuramentally challenged. That's probably going to be a word we might overuse today. Who knows? Okay, so for the lid, this is a smaller piece of cardstock, and we're going to be using a size that's a little bit odd. This was cut 7 7/8 by 7 7/8. And if you find that difficult because of, the score palette that you have and all that stuff, if you wanted to go to 8 inches, you could. Your box top will just be a little bit looser. But I personally think, that's totally up to you. So you could do that if you wanted to. I feel like this box top is a tad tight. So if you wanted to go to 8 inches, totally up to you. So with this, you're going to go 7 7/8 inches, and you're going to score on 7/8 and 1 7/8. Okay. So we're going to go ahead 7/8 inches. Okay, here we go. I want to make sure that is straight. Speaking of straight, when you're scoring, it's so key to keep your paper in the right position. Okay, so 7/8 inches and 1 7/8 inches. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to flip these around. So again, that is 7/8 and 1 7/8. Are you like me? Sometimes I'm like, oh, did I hit the right line? Especially when you get down to the 7/8 and the 16th inches. Those will always try to kind of trip me up a little bit, but hey, we can do this. Okay, here we go. 7/8 and 1 7/8. Okay, so all 4 sides, exact same thing. And with this one, since this is smaller and you're not doing as many cut lines, I do a very similar design to what we did on the box base. It's just a smaller version of it. So what you want to do, you can use your scissors or you can use your paper trimmer. And again, just start at the edge, cut all the way in to the second score line, and you'll do that 2 times. On this side, you'll flip it around on the opposite side, you'll do the same thing. So you'll just start at the edge, go all the way into that second score line, and do that on this side as well. Now what you're wanting to do for the other corners is you're wanting to have, again, a little tab. This one we're having 4 tabs. So if you can visualize this little square right here, I'm actually going to draw with my pencil so you can see this. If you can visualize a square, here we go, for your tabs, and cut around that. And if you need a pencil to draw those lines in, you can totally do that. Okay, so this is what you want to trim off all the way around. So again, you're just going to come in from this edge, and then you'll cut this corner off like that, and you have that tab in there. Okay, so I'll do the same thing here. So make that cut, and you have a tab. And again, you can do this with your scissors, you can do this with your paper trimmer, and just follow those score lines. So this is just I believe it's like is it a 1 inch? Maybe it's a 7/8 inch tab in here. The tab size doesn't really matter because it is just an area to secure your box top. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut this, and again, just like the other one, we are going to cut at an angle to make sure that we have every piece just angled so that we can have those tabs folded in beautifully. So just go ahead and do that around all 4 sides, and you have that beautiful box top. So again, just do it on all sides, including those tabs. Just go in at an angle anywhere there is a straight raw line, and just go up to the first score line when you are cutting those angles. Okay, well, now that you said thanks, can you use a heavier paper? I am using the Deluxe Flower Shaping paper. If you go heavier than that, just test it out. You might have to allow for a little bit larger measurements because sometimes, especially if you're doing a lid, you might want to go a little bit larger. So I did not cut all of these, but you want to go ahead and do all the way around, and then you're ready to glue these together, which is what I'm going to do with mine. So again, just go ahead and fold all of these pieces up. Did that answer your question? Okay. Maggie said you are watching from Tucson, Arizona. I bet it's nice and warm there. Maybe a little bit too warm. Oh, I see you had asked what the poundage is of the paper. Yes, so I'm using the deluxe flower shaping paper. Okay, so with this one, just grab a tab. It doesn't matter where you start. And we're just going to add glue to that tab and bring this up and just make sure that corner is squared. And just hold it a little bit until everything is locked into position. And don't worry about the outer edges at this point, or the top edges. All you're focused on is the exact same thing we focused on with the bottom, with the box. We're just focused on gluing those tabs into position, and that creates that square. And you just want to hold that until that is locked into position. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do the third tab. There we go. Oh, one of you said this is your first live class. Good morning from Seattle. Well, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. That's so exciting. I love seeing my returning crafters and also those of you that are completely new. It's just so much fun that you can get to watch. Lucille, you said if you do the 8x8, are the measurements the same? If you do 8x8, you start with a 8x8 base. Yes. Now, hang on a second. So if you do 8x8, you could then, instead of doing 7/8, I would do 1 inch and 2 inches. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And you could try it out. You could do 8 inches and do the rest the same, and it would make a larger square in here if you wanted to do that. So if you'd still keep it at 7/8 and 1 7/8 inches. So I just folded that down, and now it doesn't want to come back up again. So you want to make sure that you put your glue down so that you can glue these into position, and you have your box top made. Okay. So I'll do this on each side. Now, for those of you that are watching, I know that some of you, you have made lots of boxes. Boxes are your thing, and for some of you, it is not, and it's something new for you. So as we go through, many of the tips and techniques that I'm showing today, we are using on altered projects. However, you can transfer these and use them on your card making. So think like Christmas cards and all that fun stuff. And so let's see how this, there you got your little box all squared away. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this off. We'll put our blue squares or blue rectangles, these pieces on the outside. And then we're ready to decorate this box top and start with the belly band, which I think is so much fun. Okay, so you'll do this box just all the way around the edges. You can do whichever colors you want. I always tell my class students that you can do exactly how I do this, or you can watch what I'm doing and just have fun using your own creativity. So these are just ideas of what you can do. But when you customize it and make it your own, it's just so much fun to see what transpires and what comes out of it. And I can't wait to see who's going to be one of the first ones to share pictures with us on social media of what you created with this class today. It's always fun to see your pictures. And if you remember, it's always fun to see your work in progress as well, so that you can share pictures in progress, which is fun too. So this is your box base. And then you can go ahead and also decorate the lid, which this one uses very narrow strips around the outside edges. So we're just going to go ahead and add those. And like I said, the measurements for these strips are, oops, this paper has some writing on it. So just make sure that the paper is turned the right direction. Do you ever do that where you're like gluing down the paper? You're like, oh, shoot, that wording is upside down. I've done that a number of times. Okay, so we'll do that around all those edges. Oops. The lid wants to take a topple. Okay. I think once I've glued these down, I am going to give it just a little bit of time to dry before I try to put the lid on so that I don't smush the designer paper that we are gluing on. And then these are some beautiful borders that you can glue around those edges if you want to just tack those on the inside, or you could have put them right in between the cardstock and the base. So it's totally up to you how you do that. But since we are adding this, actually, you know what? I am going to, let's see here. Okay, hang on a second. You want to, I was not thinking this through properly. You want to, I was like, it doesn't really matter, but it does. And here's why. So I'm glad I caught this before I just did it, because if you put it on the inside, it's going to make it too tight for your lid to go on. So make sure you put it on the in between the decorated paper and the white outer side. Or if you want to, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe off my dry as clear glue. And that was dry. I'm going to put the glue on the back, and we're just going to do something a little bit different. We're going to glue this on the top like this. Okay. It's called improvising. If you miss a step, I completely missed the border, so it's totally up to you if you want to add that, but I do think it adds a nice touch. So one of the things I was going to say too is if you are watching and there are some items that I show today that you don't have yet, we have listed the link with the items that we used underneath this screen. So you can always reference to that. The other thing too that I was going to say, I think that if you go to our website, if there are slimline dies that you have been missing, the ones that we launched in January, there was a small shipment that arrived with those. They just landed, like they just came in the warehouse. So if there was any of those that you have missed, make sure to check those out. If you go to like slimline dies, those will be in there. So hopefully you'll be able to find those if you are missing some. Unfortunately, this specific one is not in stock, but this one I do know came in. So, so that is something to keep an eye on if you don't have those. So we're going to set those down and then attach this beauty on top. This was a dark blue piece followed by gold and then some pattern paper. So I'll go ahead and glue that down and then just lay this aside to rest. And I'd like to know who has the Festive Christmas collection. Have you created with it, or have you been waiting on this class to create with it? Okay, so Lucille, you said, do you have an update on the floral sentiments? So floral sentiments, I am still waiting on an update when those will be available on the website again. As soon as we have that date, we are going to be sending out an email and make a post on social media when those will be launched so that you have time to like notate that date and be there. So if you have kind of a fear of missing out on that, we're going to try and at least allow a week between the time that we announce that it will be available and the time that you can buy it. Does that make sense? Okay, so here we go. Isn't that so pretty? I just love that. The paper within this collection is so stunning. Okay, so we are going to lay these aside. We've got those all. This is the one that's dry, and I actually might just demonstrate the belly band on the box that is dry so that we don't accidentally move these around. So the belly band, super beautiful. Love this. This one is cut 2 1/4 to 11 3/4, and it says to score on the 1 3/6. Does that say 1 3/6? That sounds okay. Okay, so what I would do, let me measure this. Okay, so you have 4 score lines. So this is 2. Gosh, okay, 2 and I think it's 4. Sorry, I am reading my numbers wrong. Like you can't even read under these lights. Okay, yes, it's 2 1/4 by 11 3/4, and then it's 1 3/4. Yes, 1 3/4 at the 4-inch mark, and then 8 1/8 and 10 3/8. So you'll score at 1 3/4, 4 inches, 8 1/8, and 10 3/8. Now that could vary depending on what you are doing. So I would definitely just double check that. And the way I do that is sometimes I'll just kind of like, okay, how is this looking with my box? And just make sure that it all like, you know, seems like it's folded well. And you could also just kind of lay your clear cardstock around it and just kind of give it a crease, make a line in it with like a Sharpie marker, or to kind of put a notch in there where that you know is going to be covered, so that you have that. So we're going to lock this into position, okay? So we're going to lock this into position. What you'll notice here is there is a circle that goes underneath, and there is a 3D foam dot that goes on top, so that is sandwiched in between. So that's what we're going to do first of all, is just going to lay this circle down the center, and we're going to glue this into position. Now I do like to give it a little bit of leeway so that it can go on and off very easily, okay? So that's what we're going to do, is I'm just going to go ahead and add some hot glue in here, and you don't have to worry about this, it will be covered. And just make sure that your circle is positioned in the middle of your box here. Okay, so same thing on the other side, and I'm keeping hold of this so it doesn't move on me. So we're just going to go ahead and just pull that one up, and just going to hold that a little bit. Lucille, you said, is a clear cardstock also acetate? Acetate is a little bit lighter. Clear cardstock is a heavier, more durable. If you've ordered it, you know that it's like the weight that is good for a card. So that's what I'm using, but if you wanted to do something that's a little bit more flexible, you can always try that out. Maggie, you said you have the Festive Christmas collection. You can't wait to make this. I'm so excited for you. Okay, so when you do this, I like to make sure that you can slide it back and forth. And if you can slide it back and forth, you're like, okay, I'm good to go, all clear. Your next step is going to be layering this lattice die around and locking that in. So when you do this, this might take a little bit of time and patience. So for this, I am going to go ahead and just kind of do a soft fold over the bottom. And then I'm just going to kind of give that a little bit more of a bend. We don't want to do too hard of a bend because that's going to be just kind of curved over. So like, let's lay this down again, make sure. Okay. So this one is just a soft curve in there as well. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tack it down on this side. And we'll do this pretty quickly so that glue dries instantly. If you're using the dries clear glue, you'll have a little bit more time. So we'll wrap that around, bring this up here, do the same thing on this side. So we'll just do that hot glue and press that down. So this technique with this belly band can be used with other dies as well. And I just love it. I think it's a very unique twist to a belly band combination. And let me know if you have tried this before, if this is a completely new form of doing a belly band. Okay, so here we go. And then here is this one. Again, you'll just kind of overlap that, do a soft curve on it. Just make sure that that is centrally positioned. And I'm just going to make sure that that looks good on that side. And if you want to have it creased a little bit more, you can kind of do a light bend there. I'm not looking for a hard, like score line bend. I'm just looking for a very soft line, okay? So we'll do the same thing here. Naturally, you'll want to kind of pull it tight, and that's the exact thing you want to avoid so that your belly band can slide on and off very easily. Anne said, looks like you layer the lattice with, yes. So you do 2 cuts with this die, white and gold, and then you just offset those to get the white and gold offset if you like to have that look. And on your PDF, it will mention that for you as well. Thank you for mentioning that. I totally missed talking about that. Okay. Now you'll just go ahead and bring this down and just hold that into place. And you'll just kind of hold it for a little bit. Let it rest. Okay. There we go. I think that's in position. And then all you have to do is just take this circle, layer a piece of paper on top that you love, and then add foam dots, and you can put that on top of the circle we put on the bottom, and that is going to give you a piece that covers the seam line, and it makes it just all to come together so beautifully. Just love, love how that comes together so seamlessly, and it looks so beautiful. Okay, so just going to go ahead and make sure those words are in the right position. Bring this on top, and you're good to go. So the next step is going to be taking 5 circles that you cut out of a cardstock. You can punch them, you can use a die. This circle measures, it's about a 3/4 inch circle. You could go to 1 inch, but this is what makes the button. And you just layer a gold button on top, and that is what's glued on the end here to make those pieces come together very beautifully. And I just think that makes it come together very nicely. So I just did 5 pieces of white cardstock, just glued on top of each other for the dimension, and then added 1 piece of gold cardstock on top, and that's what created that button. So we're going to go ahead and add that on both sides, and you are good to go on that belly band. Now we are going to wait to do any of the decorating with the flowers and the birdies and all that fun stuff until the very end. So we are going to be focusing on creating the boxes and the base of everything first, and then we'll go back and add all the fun flowers and leaves and lanterns and birdies on it. Are you excited for that part? Okay. So here we go. Hey Luz, I see that you said you're looking for the butterfly die. I don't know if you've done this or not, but just connect with our customer care team and they might have a point of reference for you on that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and switch gears a little bit. So we'll put our boxes on this side. We're going to bring this one over here. And so this is how the belly band looks once you have that bouquet of poinsettias on there, the little birdies, the little berries, all that fun stuff. I can't wait to share that with you as well. So moving along, I think, it's always hard to know which one I want to do next. Okay, so I think we're going to move into the slider box. Do you want to do the slider box next? So this is a box that goes in and out, so you can move it back and forth. So we are going to go ahead and create the inside base, and then we'll flip around and do the outer piece, which is just a really fun way to create like an open element in this box with kind of that lattice opening. And then we're going to go ahead and just put that together and show you some die cutting techniques with that. Are you ready for that? With this one, again, we're going to focus first of all on creating the base, and then we'll move into making the and decorating it. So before I do that, let me grab a drink of water, and I think we'll be good to go on this one. This one has the cute little buttons on the side too. Do you like that tip and technique with the buttons? So one of you asked, will the belly band slide back on the box once you take it off? Yes. So this goes on and off. So you just want to make sure it's not too tight. I'm not going to move it off right now because I don't want it to, well, maybe I can. No, I'm not going to. I am playing with fire if I do that because I'm letting it dry. So at the end, remind me of that because I have this leeway. It's not too tight, so you can put it on and off. But yes, that is a thing. If you make it too tight, that can be more difficult. Okay, so for this one, let me grab my score pal. And this piece is going to be cut 12 by 6.5. And this is actually the lid. Right? Is this the lid? Yes. Is this the lid? Yes, because this one's a little bit tricky. Not the lid. No, this is the base. I always get mixed up with this one because it's a little bit tricky how the die works. Yep. So this is the little slider that we're working on right now. So that one is 12 by 6.5, and you're going to score it on the 1/2 and the 1.5 inch mark. So you go do that on every side. So it's the 1/2 and 1.5. Okay, so 1.5. So I'll do that on every side. I already have done 2 sides on this one. So just go ahead and do 1/2 inch and 1.5 inch on each side, and this creates the slider. Luz said, this is so pretty. I like that belly band. Oh, you're very welcome. Okay, so this one. So you're again creating these little notches in here. So what I want you to do to create that is, again, if it helps you, you can draw a little line. So literally just visualize this little square on the corner is going to be your tab, okay? So you can go ahead and, it doesn't really matter which way the square is being attached, but you can draw this little line to give you a visual of how it's going to be attached. But you'll do that on all 4 sides. You'll have this little tab. So first score line, and here we go in to that second score line, first score line, and then again to the second score line. And you'll do that on all 4 sides. So first score line, go up to the second score line here, and then again up to this, and then into that second score line. And you have a tab here, and a tab here. So we'll do that one more time. So first score line, if it helps you have a visual, just draw your lines in with a lead pencil, and sometimes that just helps you visualize where that's going to be cut. So up to the second score line here. And again, with these, you are going to cut an angle on every tab. So just up to the first score line from every tab, you're going to cut an angle. Now these tabs do not have to be as long, so you can go ahead and just trim them halfway if you want to, and just do this on each side, okay? So here you'll see, I did this one opposite. I have a tab here, and I have a tab here instead of the tab here. That does not matter. So if you have that happening, what you're looking for is you are looking for a tab that you can connect each corner. So as long as each corner has a tab, you are good to go. So you go ahead and cut all those little straight lines, just angle those on every edge. And once that is done, you'll have a piece that looks like this. So you can go ahead and do that to each one, and then you're ready to glue these down. Okay, so Karen said this is such a beautiful collection, perfect for boxes. It is so beautiful. So Laura said, I am never going to throw away little scraps of paper again. I will punch circles because that is gorgeous. I know, right? It's a really gorgeous way to make a button. So this one is more like the 3/4 inch size, but you could do them smaller, you could do them larger, and just stacking multiple layers of cardstock on top of each other, adding, you could do like a pattern button instead of a gold button too, which you can really just kind of customize what you want to do. So this one, again, you glue down the little tabs first. So just go ahead and do that. This one is a narrower box. So just go ahead and do this on every corner. Okay, so, oops, whoopsie daisy, my glue gun is going a little bit wild on the side there. Has some extra stuff that is trying to leak out. She's probably saying, use me more. Okay, so here we go. Just hold that. Sorry, that was kind of washed out a little bit for you. Okay. Now that glue is trying to go places it's not supposed to. Okay. And here we go on this one. And then we'll go to the last one. Oops. I think I need to clean my glue gun a little bit, or maybe not. Maybe it's all rubbed off already. Okay, there we go. So tell me, as you're watching how to do these, does it feel a little bit less intimidating to do your own boxes, or how do you feel? Whoops, this one came up a little bit. That just means I should have held it a little bit longer. Okay. So with these, since these are longer edges, I am going to use my Dries Clear Glue. and it looks like that one corner is trying to stand up. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue these in, and then we'll go back and remedy that corner. If you have that happen, it's totally okay. It might mean we just need to pull that open again and just reapply it. Sometimes that happens when you're doing hot glue. If it moves along or moves on you before it's completely dry, it kind of sticks into a weird position. Okay. If you wanted to, if you have longer edges, you can use little alligator clips to hold that closed if you're using the Dries Clear Glue. That gives you extra fingers, because Lord knows we need extra fingers when we are crafting. Sometimes I'm like, where's my extra fingers? Which I think I'm going to do for this really long edge. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put a seam of glue along this edge. And just glue this down. Now with this box, you'll just have to make it obey you. It is narrower and longer, so you are going to notice that some of the edges might want to bow a little bit, and that's okay. Just make sure that it is obeying you versus doing its own things. Lucille, you said, what is the policy if you wanted to make boxes and sell at a local craft fair? You are welcome to do that. You can make anything handmade and sell it, which is awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to grab a couple more clips. These little things are handy dandy when you're doing something like this. Okay, and we'll do the last one. There we go. And I'll see if I can sneak these little guys from this side and bring them over here and have a party on this side. Okay. So while that is drying, I am going to go ahead and just glue this paper on the bottom. That is going to be reflected from the top. So whatever color you choose is what you're going to see from the top, which is really cool. The red on this one, I think, just kind of illuminates beautifully with the blue. Okay, so we're just going to pop this in the center. And then there are also these little strips that you can add on the inside of the box. To decorate the inside as well. So if you have those tabs glued down and they're sticking into position, you can put these on top and that will just lock that into place, which is really nice. Okay, and I feel like it just gives it a little bit extra sturdiness on the side. And you feel like, okay, my box is starting to look like something. Okay, let me see. We might just do the small ends and do that last long edge last, since that's what we glued down last. Okay, so here we go. You're right, Luz. It's like when you see how to do it step by step like this, it really takes away the intimidation factor, because it's not that you can't do it. It's just like having someone show you the step by steps. It just really breaks it down, and I feel like half the battle is just having a visual, because I think most of us as paper crafters are very visual, and when we get to see like, oh, that's how it's done, it really breaks it down. It's like, okay, I can do that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just glue this in, and that piece is ready to just be set aside to dry, okay? And then the next piece, this one is really fun. This is the outer piece. And it's a little bit different than you might think. So you have this slider that goes all the way through, and that is the inside box. So you'll see that inside box will still put a dark blue piece on then. But for right now, we're going to focus on this piece. This piece is super simple to do. All I want you to do is cut a piece of paper 9 by 6 1/8 inches. And on the longest side is where you are going to put your score line. So when you have it in your score palette, you'll score it at the 1/2 and the 1.5 inch mark, and you'll do that on both sides, okay? So 1/2 inch, 1 inch mark, 1/2 inch, 1 inch mark. And then you're going to go ahead and just bring this up and just fold these pieces up. And this is starting to get really exciting. Ah, I love it. Okay. So, question becomes, how do you do the opening? So, this is going to be your base. This is going to be the outside base. And what I want you to do is just go ahead and take a piece of this piece from your slimline die, and we're going to glue that on the back. So that's the very first thing we're going to do. I'm going to use the dry as clear glue. We're going to add this to just glue this entire piece on the back. You don't have to do this first, but we're just going to do it so that it's done. And it has a little bit of time to dry while we're doing the other part. So all I want you to do is just set this on top and just press that down, okay? And that's going to be the base. And it's okay if those edges kind of hang out the side a little bit. So we're just going to put that one aside, and we're going to focus on creating this top, okay? So this top, you're going to have the same size that we just did with the slimline die, and you're going to cut this piece out of the center, okay? Now the question becomes, how do I layer this decorative, beautiful paper on top of this with an opening that lines up? So there's a couple different ways you can do this. I'm going to show you a way, and you might see a different way that you like to do better. But what I want you to do is going to take this outline die, and if you don't have this die, there might be some other dies that you have that you can do a similar trick with. And like I said, some of the slimline dies that we launched in January, we had a small shipment of those show up. So those are added onto the website. They just, I believe, got added on today. So if you don't have those, I would highly recommend getting those right away so you don't miss out on those, because I don't expect those to stay in stock long. So here's what I want you to do. And this is a tip you can utilize with lots of different things. But if you are trying to line up a secondary die with a die like this that's already been cut out, here's one tip. There's one way. I'm sure there's many different ways. Have two pieces of tape against the die. The blade is going up. So that's what I want you to focus on right now, is this blade is going up. And then I want you to take two pieces of tape. So these two pieces of tape here are going to stick onto this paper. These two pieces of tape are going to adhere this temporarily to the base so that it doesn't move around. So I don't really press it down very hard, but I just want it to stick into position. Does that make sense? What I want you to do now is I want you to take this piece, this is the dark blue with the pattern paper, and I want you to have that face down on top of this side. The reason I say face down is so that your cut line is turned the right way, because you don't want to have a raw edge facing up. Now what I want you to do is just line this piece of paper up, square it here, and press down where that tape is that's sticking up, and then very gently we're going to peel that up. We're going to try to make sure that that does not move, which that did, because this tape was not as sticky, because that had already been on there. Let's do it again. I had just left it on there from the previous time I was using it. I was like, oh man, that might not have been the best idea. Let's do this again. So you'll get to see this again. If that just threw your brain for a loop. Okay, so here we go. So the top two pieces, the sticky tape is going down so it catches the bottom part. And I'm just lining that up on top. Oops, make sure it's lined up. Okay, there we go. So those two are there. These two pieces are going to catch onto this piece. Okay, so there we go. And then Lucille, you said, did I answer? Yes, you are able to sell at a local craft fair things that you have handmade. Yes, with our items, absolutely. Okay, so here you have this, and let's do this again. Okay, so you can see that that's fastened down here, and it's fastened down here. So the trick is just when you come to this side, that you just lift that up gently. And this tape here, I just remove, or you could keep it in there if you wanted to, but it's kind of unnecessary. So we'll run this through our machine and trim that out. So hopefully that was a nice trick for you if you haven't done something like that before. It is a very nice trick to have up your sleeves if you're trying to line something up. Tracy said, I love this tip, right? Me too. It solves so much when you're trying to do like an interactive pattern layer with kind of a window opening like that. So I just absolutely love that. And that's what I love about the classes is there's different tips and techniques like that that just make something super simple that otherwise would be difficult. Okay. So that just cuts out our layer. And that gives us this piece that we can put on top. Now, with this one, I see that I shifted it just a little bit as I was running that through. So what do we do? See that? I shifted it. That moved on me when I was running it through. So if you have that, what I want you to focus on is this. I want you to focus on this part down here is going to be covered. And this part down here is going to be covered as well. So if that happens for you, you can either redo it or you can focus on covering these areas that are crooked. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how to cover it when we go to embellish it. Does that sound good? That sounds good to you. That is good for me because sometimes that can happen. And I believe it shifted when I ran it through my machine, which I am not very happy about, but hey, you get the gist of that, right? Okay. Okay, so what I want to do next is we're going to go ahead and put a gold piece behind here. So remember the gold that we had backing the other one? This is what I want you to do for this one. It's the same technique. Just go around the base. And then you can also do a couple on the inside here as well. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just offset that gold. There we go. Can you see it? I feel like that's a little bit hard to see. Okay, now you're going to go ahead and layer this piece on top. And if you wanted to, you could put a piece of clear cardstock behind this if you want to seal those openings off completely. So it's totally up to you. Okay. So we'll go ahead. I am going to focus more on having the outside edges lined up straight than the inner edge. Does that make sense? Okay. And then I'll show you how to decorate it. If you are like, I don't want to redo that and I want to keep on going, we'll show you how to do that as well. So number one tip, just make sure that that is pressed down really good. And one thing that might make that it doesn't move as easily is having a piece of tape up here and down here so you don't have it going wonky, because I had both of them down here, which is a recipe for asking it to shift a little bit easier, if that makes sense. Okay, so just some tips along the way as you are learning with that as well. Okay, so with this, we're going to go ahead and this is where you create this box, and we're going to bring these tabs up and we're going to put this on top. And this is how it's going to be laying on there. Isn't that super cool? With this, you are going to want to make sure that that is pretty symmetrical. So what I'm going to do to try and make sure that this locks into place but does not move around for me when I'm demoing today. If you're at home, I would just do dry as clear glue and just patiently kind of hold it. But I'm going to go ahead, add hot glue on this end, hold it, and then fill in with dry as clear glue in the center. And if you wanted to do that at home too, you can try that as well. Just see what works best for you. Okay, so again, hot glue on this end, hot glue on this end. And you might even want to just try and do one end at a time so that you have a better chance of it not drying on you and you have more time to layer it on. And if one end kind of dries before you get it down with the hot glue, you can always peel it off. Main thing you're kind of wanting to watch for here is that this is glued on. This is a little bit off center here. I'm just going to peel this one up again because it did get a little bit off center there. And if it works better for you, you can also have more of a side view so that you can see exactly where those eyelets are lining up for you. It's okay, let's do this again. Okay, so this is pretty straight right there. Can you see that? Okay, there we go. Karen said that is really cool. Joy said you love the tips. I love hearing your feedback. Okay, so here we go. I think that those corners are intact. I'm gonna do just one on this side to give myself just a little bit more wiggle room. So if you wanted to just bring this down and just make sure that those corners are pretty even there. And just give it a little bit of time to hold. Okay. And if perchance, when you're putting this together, if this is too tight and this one does not want to go in there, just work with it a little bit. You can also always kind of pull these corners off and reposition it if you need to. If you're just doing the corners in the beginning, I would always kind of test that out too, so that you can always kind of loosen it and redo it if you need to. So that's what I'm going to do right now, is just gently, because that is still drying, just put that in. I have some glue marks. Not glue marks, but I have some corners. Okay, so that is a little bit on the tight side there. Now let's see here. I might have to readjust that one, or maybe not. Let's see here. No, that's good. It might feel in the beginning like it's a little bit tight because these measurements are pretty spot on. So if it feels a little bit tight, you can always pull up a corner and reposition it if you want to, but I think I'm going to keep mine. And then you can go back and fill in with glue underneath here if you choose to do it exactly like I did. So I'm going to do that at this point in time. Just go ahead and put that glue in. Do that on the other side as well. And then I'm going to press that down for a little bit. Okay. Let's keep that pressed down. I just love this box. Okay, so that is all good to go because we just did the top seams. Okay. So our next step, while that is laying upside down, I am going to just go ahead and add the blue strips around the outer edges, which is just a really quick way to just add a nice pop of color to the sides of the box. So you'll do that all the way around. But like I said, you can pick any color that you want. I love this blue. And one thing I was going to do today too, and you can let me know what you think, but as I was looking at this, I always like to be a little bit adventurous and experiment with colors. So the little birdies that were pictured in the class for these projects were brown and had a little bit of a golden belly. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to color these little birdies in more of a blue aqua color with some red bellies and show you how to do that. So if you're up for a little bit of a different experimental color with those birdies, let me know. But that's what I was thinking about doing, is just doing some fun little birdies that are not necessarily Christmas birds. Well, I shouldn't say Christmas birds. You don't see that color bird in our area during Christmas, but I thought it would be fun to do it anyway. So once you've done that, you can go ahead and add your little knobs on the ends, which is what we did here. One little tip for those knobs that you can do if you want to is, again, do 5 colors of cardstock, or 5 layers of white cardstock. And then if you cut a very narrow strip of gold cardstock and you just kind of bend it, you can also go ahead and wrap around the edge. So exact same thing we did with the others, except you'll go back and you'll wrap that right around the edge, which what I like to do is just start off with some hot glue on the one edge and just hold it a little bit. And I'm just going to do that. Kathy said, yes, bluebirds would be great to learn. Okay, and Karen said, sounds like a great plan to color the birds that color. Okay, if anybody objects, let me know, but I was just like, you know what, I am feeling like doing some just fun colors for Christmas with these little birdies. Okay, so once I come to this side, I just trim this off, and I'm going to trim it just a little bit shorter. And you really won't see the seam line on this because you can put it towards the bottom. So that's what I focus on more than just trying to get a perfect seam. seam, not seen. That sounds the same. Okay, so then you just go ahead, glue that, and we'll pop that to the, where's my, oh, there's my seam. We'll have that seam face down and just kind of to the center of that box. There we go. And then we'll do it to the other side as well. Okay. Ta-da! Isn't that so cool? I just think those add a very beautiful touch to those. Okay, so we have our very crooked top here. This shows you don't move your tape. Sometimes people are like, well, Emma Lou, I did exactly what you told me, but it moved like this. I'm like, oh my gosh, the tape shifted like nobody's business. Okay. So you might even want to use stronger tape than what I was using. I was using a painter's tape, and I typically brush it off on my skin too to kind of release. So it releases easier. So there's kind of a blessing and a curse with that, I guess. Okay. So we'll lay this aside to dry, and we will reposition to our basket. Is anybody excited to learn the little basket? This basket is also filled with all the little treasures. See those little blue birds with the red bellies? I think you're going to love those. Love learning how to color those too. That's what I was talking about. I'm going to show you how to make them this color, or if you want to do a little bit more of a traditional color bird, you could always do that as well, but we're just going to have some fun together with those. But yes, this little basket holds all these, and we're going to learn how to make those as well. So this baskets are very stunning. And once you get the basics of how to create one, you can make them in different sizes that I think you'll absolutely love. But there's just a couple basics that you'll want to learn, and then you can make them for all occasions. Like one of you said, this paper collection is stunning. So I would highly recommend that you stock up on that if it's one that you see yourself using a lot. And do you see how this inside is decorated with what I call more of a busy pattern, but it just really adds more interest to that as well. So Maggie said, I love the basket and its treasures. I know, right? Kathy said, as a popular painter used to say, there are no mistakes, just happy little accidents, right? Oh my gosh, that is so true. And I think that as crafters, if we remember that, that can really be to our advantage. When something happens, we're like, you know what? There's a way to fix this. They're just happy little accidents, right? Yes. Les said, when you add all the embellishments, you will hide all the imperfections. That's what you do. Yep, I know. And that's a great thing that I love when things don't go quite as planned. It shows everyone how you can recoup. And that's what I love about live as well. So, okay. We are going to go ahead and create the basket base. Okay, so this one is 12 by 12, and you are going to score at the 3/4 inch and at the 3.5 inch. So I did 3 sides already. So we're just going to go ahead and do the rest. So again, it's 3/4 inches and 3.5 inches. So pretty simple. You'll do that on every side. And then what I want you to do is, again, just pick 2 sides. And if it's easier for you, you can do a drawing like we were talking about earlier. Ignore this corner. I messed something up here. But this drawing will show you where to cut. So, or we'll show some of the cuts. So what I want you to do is take your paper trimmer, and you're going to cut from this end all the way to that second score line. Then you're going to bounce up, hit the first score line, and cut again. So we're going to do that with our paper trimmer since this is a bigger one. So it's very similar to the first one we did. And we're just going to do that. But if it works easier for you, you can do some pen marks so you can see where you're going. So start at that edge, go all the way to the second score line, stop, lift up, then you come down again for the first score line and go out to the edge. And then just move your paper over and do the same thing over here. So start at the edge. Oops, I need to move this over just a bit. There we go. Go all the way to that second score line, lift up, and go down to the next score line and out the edge. And that gives you these. Now what you're looking for is, again, 4 tabs to help hold this box into position. So what I want you to do is literally On 4 sides, just cut in. And this is really what I want you to focus on first, so you don't confuse yourself. And just go around on all 4 sides. And on that, grab about, you can do 1/2 inch or 1 inch. But let me just measure what I did. Actually, this is 3/4 inch, so I went in between that. So on this side again, you just make a 3/4 inch cut in here. That gives you a tab. So you can do 3/4. If you want to use your paper trimmer, you can totally do that. So 3/4 inches, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, doesn't really matter. But you're really just cutting away this corner. And then we're going to go ahead and notch those edges again to give you, here we go, and then up here we do have one little cut to make. See this little corner right here? You can go ahead, just cut at an angle here, at an angle here, and that just cuts that corner out. Same way here, this is an angle that cuts that little corner out. And down here at an angle. And just continue to do that all the way around. So any flap that is straight, you'll just cut a curvature in there and do that all the way around. Does that make sense? Okay, so we'll do that all the way around, and then you are ready to create your basket. So again, this one is really just folding all of those pieces up. Every flap goes inward, and you might want to have your alligator clips handy for the very top flaps like we did with the box. Totally up to you. Just make sure you have a good fold. If you want to use your score tool, sometimes, I don't know if I've showed this before, but if you want to have a good score line, if you are newer and you haven't done this before, using the score tool can give you a really nice line, a really good scored edge. Especially if you have a little bit narrower folds in the top. Okay, that one's, just fold those down. Let me just do, now that I'm doing the tight folds, I'm like, oh my gosh, I will just, it's kind of addicting when you feel how that feels. Okay, there we go. Okay, now all you have to do is just glue these tabs down. And as you're doing them, if you're using the hot glue, just keep an eye that those tabs don't pop open on you as you are moving to the next one. There you go. Just make sure those corners are tight. And we'll do that all the way around. So tell me what you've loved so far. What are you learning? Have you been creating a lot of projects in June? It is crazy to think that we're over, pretty much halfway through the year already, which is just absolutely nuts. Okay, so here we go. And we have 2 more flaps to go. Okay. We'll do that on this side. Now, I love creating the baskets, but I have to say I get kind of antsy and so excited to get to embellishing and adding the flowers and the, doing the coloring and just seeing it come to life. Does it work like that for you too? But you know what? Creating is about enjoying the process. And that's one thing that I really like to remember is as you're doing like the basics and, building the skeletons of what I call the house, enjoying each part of the creative process. And as you go through, just really taking time to just like stop and admire what you're creating, because that is what it's all about, right? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and glue these down. Let's see here. So far, we haven't had any hot glue incidences. Sometimes when I'm doing an online class, I have quite a few of those. Okay, so here we go. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, right? Okay, we'll see. We'll do that on this flap. Kind of have a love-hate relationship with using hot glue on long edges like this, but if I think it's going quick enough, I will use it. Otherwise, I will use my dry as clear glue and the little alligator clips. Okay, there we go, and that's all done. Laura said there should be a crime against the people that rip open boxes and throwing them away after we've spent so much time creating them. Well, this is this is true. Somebody asked, would it be easier to decorate the inside before gluing the box together? Well, one of the things you'll want to remember is when you have these tabs coming in, you are covering the tabs, so you do want to decorate it afterwards. Now the bottom you could have, but I would definitely wait to do the sides until you have glued those together. But it depends. Some stuff is easier to do it, so it's really just kind of looking at it, evaluating like if there's a tab that's coming in that will be exposed or something like that when you're doing insides. Okay. So inside, here we go. This is the beautiful paper with those birdies on it. So I'll just pop that down inside. And it's not super complicated to pop a piece of paper down to the bottom once you have it glued together. And this is the side. So we do have decorative paper on the inside and then also on the outside. Now the basket handle, you can glue it and attach it on the inside or the outside. For this one, we did do it on our sample on the outside. Otherwise, you would want to do that right away so that it gets attached on the inside of the decorative paper if you would be doing it on the inside. So just something to kind of keep in mind. As you're gluing these little birdies down, just make sure that they are not flying upside down or sitting upside down. Okay, Carol said she likes the smooth ruled edges as well, right? I like that too. It's a really nice touch to the boxes. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do this last one. And then we'll show you the handle so you can see, and we'll put a little bit of emphasis on that so that we don't forget to attach that. Now this handle goes on next. And you'll see that that is locked in between the white layer and the outside blue layer. Now, making a handle is pretty easy. However, there is a tip and technique that I do like you to know. So you'll cut the die cut border. This is 12 inches by 1 3/4 inches. But when you do a handle, you want to make sure that you kind of have it going in a curvature motion when you are gluing layers of paper on top. Because if you just glue these papers down straight, it won't bend very well. And you'll see what I mean if you do accidentally do that. It just doesn't have much give. It starts to buckle and it looks a little bit weird. So before I glue anything together, I kind of naturally start getting it ready to do that bend. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to add glue to the one side of the gold cardstock. And I'm going to add it to this end. And then we're going to attach, we're going to give this a curve. For some reason, when you do the curve, it just takes a little bit more space for your cardstock. And what I want you to do next is just grab this end and add a little bit of glue on this end and attach it. And we can go back and we can add glue in this. See how there is a gap in there? That's how much room that takes when you are gluing this together. Isn't that nuts? It's so weird. I learned that the hard way. So same way for the dark blue. You'll put this strip on and we'll just glue the one side. Just position that in the center. Emma Lou, what was the size of the handle? That size was 12 inches by 1 3/4. However, you can make it wider if you wanted to, but 12 inches is the size that we're working with. Now, your gold cardstock won't be 12 inches long. Because that's 8.5 by 11, so it's about 1 inch off. So you don't have to have as long of a handle. So we are going to trim this off in the bottom here. Okay, so we're just going to add a little bit of glue here and make sure that our handle is curved. Was that a great tip for you, knowing that? Okay, so we are going to go ahead and just trim this off down here where everything is the same length. And then we're going to put this into position like this. Okay, so you can just choose your side. I'm going to use my hot glue, bring this in on this side, and I'm just going to hold that a little bit. Okay. So Teresa said, have you ever tried wetting the paper before making the handle? I have not done that. Is that something that you have tried? Okay. My friend has a snarky stamp for her cards. It involves a voodoo doll and pins if I throw her handmade card away. You know, I've heard that one before too. And you kind of start to learn to know your friends. The ones that are like, oh my gosh, I got your card and I have it sitting on the center of my table, or I put it up in my shelf and it's there forever. My husband's mom, anytime I give her a card, she puts them on. She has a shelf with a display of cards, and it's just the cutest thing when I go to her house. You see all the cards that I made her, and she just loves them, and they're like a decoration in her home, which is fun to see. Okay, so next step is I'm going to go ahead and just lock these into place right away. So we're just going to go ahead and glue these down. Now the basket handle, you can also use the tip of your dries clear glue and just squeeze some glue underneath there, so that is also locked into position. So that is something that you can do too. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do this all the way around. Okay. Isn't it fun to see how quick a basket comes together? I mean, literally, it is really simple once you understand the format of it, and you can do it in any combination. You can really make it for, you know, summer, winter, fall, Christmas, which is really fun. Okay, Janet said you have a friend who made a shelf for treasures you've made. That's so sweet. Okay, so with this one, you're going to go ahead next, and you're going to utilize this beautiful die. Now, like I said, if you don't have this one's called the Star Lattice die. We do have some other slimline dies that were just had some that arrived, and some of them, like this is another version of this basket. I believe this die is in stock right now if you don't have that one, but it's a very similar version. It's just going the other way. So that is another way to create this basket as well. Isn't that just stunning? It's gorgeous. So lots of variations with these. So this one, you can cut it out, and then you're going to cut them apart. And if you wanted to, you could have it even come together a little bit closer. It's totally up to you. But we're just going to go ahead and glue these into position and then add those buttons on that we've come to love so much in this class. So we're just going to go ahead and, whoops, there we go. And these I did outline with the gold as well. So that's something to remember with these as well, if you want to kind of have that pop of gold behind these, which I think is pretty much a must. I'm kind of addicted to doing that. To most of the decorative dies I have, it just really adds a very nice touch to them. Okay. So you'll do that on all 4 sides. So you'll have a total of 8 little halves. So let's go ahead and, oops, just make sure that the straight line is facing the edge. Oops, there we go. Okay. There we go. Carol, you said you have a sister-in-law that saves every card you send and has them on her mantle. She will not remove them and says everyone who visits studies my cards. That's amazing. I'm sorry, Chris. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do those in the remaining 2 sides, and then we'll add our buttons. I think the buttons are just just such a fun accent on this one as well. So we actually use the buttons on every project today. Did we? Yes, we use it on the belly band too. For a second there I was like, wait, did we do it? Yes, we did. We did on every project. So there's a little tip for all your scrap pieces of paper. Okay, we'll put this on this side, and we have 1 side left to do. Oh, oops, that one wants to jump around since we're using the dries clear glue. There we go. Okay, and then this one. So as we wrap up decorating this with the decorative dies and adding the buttons, we're going to move into coloring. Who's excited for coloring? Tell me what you're wanting to learn. Now, with coloring, especially for Christmas, I like to keep it simple. So that's what we're going to focus on today. We are not going to be coloring with markers unless you choose to do that. I will show just a little bit of markers. I shouldn't say we're not, but like that's not the focus. I want to show you how you can get beautiful shading very quickly using sponge daubers, and then you can just hit little areas with the, oh, this one I'm seeing on the camera angle. I'm looking at these projects from all angles. I'm like, wait, the camera angle, this is not straight. Here we go. That bugs me. There we go. Okay, now let's get a button. Those buttons are made the exact same way. You can just layer 5 layers on top of each other. This one's a little bit thicker using, you could use the backs of the paper collection, the cardboard, or if you just have a really nice, like big or thick kind of craft paper, but it doesn't matter really which paper you use on the inside because you're just looking for a nice thick button. You could just use cardstock and just do extra layers if you wanted to do that. So there's not really a right or wrong way with that. Okay, so with these buttons, again, I like to have, oops, there we just about had a hot glue catastrophe, but that was okay. There we go. I like to have the seams on the bottom. And I'll go ahead and add this last one. There we go. Oh, that's a great idea. I love that, Florence. You said, fill these handmade baskets with Christmas cards and gift tags for your mother-in-law to give to her friends. Perfect. Now, it's going to be to your discretion if you say that it's a box with endless refills. I know one of my friends, she said she did that. She was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know what I signed up for. So, okay. So there you go. A beautiful basket, simple yet elegant. Okay, so here we go. Once you have these all done, and here's the thing too, you could have done the back of the handle as well if you wanted to decorate that using the same dimensions we did on the front. And like I said, you can go back and, you know, tack that in with glue yet if you wanted to do that as well. So totally up to you. Okay, so I'm going to put this one aside to dry. That's one thing I kind of like about when you're doing these pieces. If you create the base, set those aside to dry, and then you can come back to those, add your decorative pieces. And this is the little display of flowers that goes up the side of the handle. And then the rest is just how we designed it originally. Is that cool? Kathy said, you're building up archival ink collections, just got the real brush markers, and I'm just starting to try some of your techniques. I am so excited for you. So festive Christmas images paired with a sparkling poinsettia is going to give you a combination that you'll absolutely love. Some of these techniques I think will really help you to really utilize them easily, yet get the look that you're wanting to for Christmas. So I will grab some markers here from the back. I forgot to get my yellow, so we might improvise a little bit, which is okay. I got excited about my inks, and the reason I'm saying that is I wanted to do a little bit of the candle color in yellow, which I have an orange marker behind me that we'll use. Okay, so the colors I'm using today, these two colors were not listed on your class, so this is totally optional. If you wanted to color the birdies in markers or doing the colors that we listed. Forget Me Not and Paradise Teal is the two colors I used on the birds' main part of the body. We are also using Vermilion and Lighthouse, and then we're also using English Ivy. So I'm going to open up these and we'll bounce around, and I think I'm going to color the birdies first. Does that sound like a plan? Donna said, what color did you use on the red birds? Red birds. Okay, that one you can use a combination of browns. The designer, she used these zig markers for hers. So we're just going to get a close-up look. So that would have been using a combination of your reds and your yellows and your browns from the zig markers on those. So that is the colors that she would have used is from the markers. So it wasn't inks on those. I just want you to know that. I switched to these colors and wanted to show you how to color everything with a sponge dauber for a quick Christmas card making. And here's why. So many of us, we want to make a bunch of Christmas cards, but we find ourselves in a last-minute rush and a hustle and all that stuff. Now, I know we're in June, and we like to think we're not going to do that, right? But chances are some of us are going to get ourselves into a pinch. So I wanted to equip you on how you can color images that are intricate and detailed very quickly. But if you are a colorist and you want to just, start now, do all the marker coloring, that is absolutely fantastic. So let's get started coloring those birdies. So with the birds, we are going to start with the Paradise Teal, which is your lighter color of the two colors that we're using. And we're going to color, I'm just going to color one of the birdies today, but all of them will color the same way that I'm using on the project today. So with this, we're just going to start on the edge, and we're going to, in a soft circular motion, work our way down towards the belly. The closer I get to that belly, the lighter I go. But this is a soft circular motion, and then I come in from the other angle. Now I am really utilizing the tips so that I don't get into the greenery as much. However, if you hit that a little bit, by the time you get your green on there, you'll never notice it. So this is not a something I'm super picky about. I just kind of color lightly, and you'll see that that is the base of that bird. Now the next color we're going to add on is Forget Me Not, which is a little bit of a darker color. And we're just going to add that on the top of the bird and a little bit like on the head there. I'm going to make that a little bit darker. Did you see that pop of color come in? And then we're going to go back and we're going to utilize the very tip, and we're going to bring in some darker color on those feathers. And that just gives it a nice pop of color. Okay? So that's all you need to do with that blue. You're done. Was that easy? Okay, next you're going to grab some of the vermilion that is a little bit more of your orangish red. You're going to utilize the tip, and you're going to come in from the side right down there at the base and very lightly hit that base of that bird's belly. I am not pressing down hard at all, just a little bit. And you have a blue and red bird for Christmas. And we're the master artists of it. There is a poinsettia in here. You might not see it because of what we're going to do on top, but I do want to show you how you can color this using the very tips of this. So what I want you to do is just start in the center and just kind of color your way outward and just move your way around. But these tips are what's really going to create and give you the ability to stay within that design and just feather your way out. So you'll see that my sponge is resting on the inside of that poinsettia, and then I go outward. So that's how I get to color those intricate images very quickly, very easily, and it still looks stunning. Then the berries. The berries is something that's optional. You might kind of freak out about berries and like, I need to stay in the center of those. If you look super closely, you'll see that I went out a little bit, but you can easily dab a red marker on those if you wanted to. But for me, I just hit those little red berries with the vermilion and just go in a soft circular motion using the tip. But if it's easier for you to use the tip of a marker, by all means do that. Okay? Next step is bringing in some English ivy. And you can go ahead and just put that over the outside edges, over all those little leafy green sprays. I'm going to add a little bit to the baby's breath as well. Very likely you're not going to see some of this, but this shows you an overall picture of how to give it some quick color. And then same way for this one, these little holly leaves. What I want you to do is start at the base of the leaf, press down a little bit harder, and kind of lift up. I am really using the tips of the sponge dauber and lifting up and feathering outward. If you struggle with coloring, just practice, 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 and give yourself some time with that. Same way with these leaves on this one. English ivy, just go along those edges, and you will have these images colored in no time. So this is really a very quick and easy version on getting those Christmas images colored, because that's something I see a lot of people getting stuck at, is they really have this thing in their head that I want to make these amazing Christmas cards, but they get stuck and sometimes don't even do it because they're like, I want to make 50 of them, but I can't do it all. So this is hopefully a way for you to really just kind of break it down into doable pieces so that you can create those Christmas cards. Now, the original lantern on here was black, but I decided, you know what, we're going to have the lantern match the birdies. So I'm going to go into using the blues with a lantern. before we do that, let's just make sure, again, this berry too, I'm going to do all my reds and greens, and then we'll switch back to blue. Does that sound good? Again, just go back. Tell me if this is helpful for you. Like that. There you go. So super simple. I'm going to switch back to the vermilion, hit these berries, and you have those colored very quickly. So hopefully this is a way that also equips you to really color yours quickly and easily, and it still looks like you spend quite a lot of time with it. Okay, so did we get all our berries? I think so. And then the poinsettia, I started out by coloring it with the vermilion, and this one I did a two-tone color. So I colored about half of the poinsettia with the vermilion, and then the other half is with the lighthouse, and together that creates a beautiful two-tone poinsettia that I think is really, really cool. So this is also a very beautiful way to create stunning poinsettias. So just go back with your lighthouse. Do you see how those colors, I'm going to hold this a little bit there so you can see. It looks so different depending on how I hold that in the light. This is a little bit more true color there. Okay, so there we go. And we'll just do that on each side. And that's colored. So simple, so easy. If you want it brighter, just put more pressure on it. I tend to go just a little bit lighter so that it does not blot out the stamp design. So hopefully that is helpful for you. Now, going back to the lantern, we are going to color this in a combination of Paradise Teal and your Forget-Me-Not. So with this one, if you're coloring a lantern, again, this can be a little bit like, oh, I missed some berries. Let's go back and get those. I always feel like I missed some berries. There's always some. Actually, speaking of berries, we are getting ready to harvest blueberries. We have local patches that are saying that they'll be ready soon. Typically that's around, oh, and I missed some green there. Let's get that as well. But we're getting ready to harvest those. They said they'll be open soon, which is exciting. Our household, we eat lots and lots of berries, and my little munchkins love going and picking them. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, and so this one, you'll see that the green went out a little bit, but it is okay. It's just kind of a soft edge, and I don't worry about that, because once you have the glitter, everything on there, it's totally okay. So for the coloring of this one, I really start with the Paradise Teal, and on the edge, really utilizing the tip of that sponge dauber, color in, fade out. I come in from the other side, do the same thing. And then we'll give this a little bit of a coloring on the top, and then come kind of in from those sides and give that some soft coloring. Okay, now you'll want to go in and just give the edge of that lantern just a little bit of a soft glow. Now I forgot, I do not have, well, you know what, let's see what this one does. I don't have the yellow that I'm looking for, but this is a light, it's called Flesh Color. I'm going to test this out. This will give it a little bit of a soft glow. So you can do that, and then you can just kind of give it some flicks outward. Actually, that color is pretty good here. This is not a color I would have typically chosen, which is pretty cool. And you know what? I might just do the candle in that color too. Just give it a little bit of a soft golden glow. Okay? And then we'll go back and add a little bit of the Forget-Me-Not. One of you said blueberry and chocolate chip pancakes. That sounds delicious. Okay, so are you serving those up right now? No food suggestions unless you're serving them. Okay, so here we go. So you can just add some dark pops of that in there if you wanted to, and you have a beautiful lantern. Isn't that stunning? Just add some glitter and you're all done. So that's the basics of coloring for the images that we're using today, and you'll just want to follow the amount that we asked on the PDF, or you can do more or less, whatever floats your boat with that. I am going to go ahead and shape the poinsettias, and then we'll be ready to layer those together, do some shaping on the others, and put everything together. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I like to color the poinsettias on the back as well, so that if you have some petals sticking up, you'll be able to have those white edges covered. So I'll just pop that into the shaping mold. We have quite a few different styles of poinsettias from large to smalls, and each one is unique in their shapes, designs, and all that fun stuff. If you are looking for a poinsettia, I would highly, highly recommend that you go through, just type in poinsettia on our website, that you go through and you check out the ones that we still have and make sure that you are stocked up on the ones that you do not have, so that you don't miss out and are disappointed when those do sell out of stock, because right now, since we are launching Christmas items and there is more of a focus on Christmas, those items are moving like hotcakes. So I just want you to have a heads up on that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do some shaping on the other items as well, using the shaping tool and the black mat. And we'll just do some soft shaping. The lantern, I will not do much shaping, except you could do a little bit on the outer edges to get those stems a little bit of curvature. You can use the 6 to 8 millimeter on most of these, which is a larger tip, and just kind of do just a round circular motion on those berries, get some pressure in there. The birdies, I like to do large circular motion on their bellies to make them look like they are well fed and they're not starving winter birdies. Okay, so we'll have those pop up, just press down in the center a little bit, and then the same thing with these, just circular soft motion. I didn't spray any water on these because I do want to have kind of a nice smooth look. So that is something that is very quick and easy, and you're done with those. Now, I did go through and I glittered all these images, okay? And I'm going to show you how to do that. It's very simple. We're going to add some pearls to the center of our poinsettia. Do you guys like glitter? Oh, I love glitter. Okay, so with these, we are going to go ahead, add our glitter, add our pearls, and actually, you know what? Let's do the pearls first so that the pearls do not stick to the glitter. Okay, so I need my, oh, here it is. So here we go. Let's just glue these together. So offset the petals. Can you see this? Yes, you can. Okay. Here we go. Press down, pop, pop. If you press down with your stylus, it makes that you do not accidentally smash those with your fingers. Easy way to get a really nice circle of pearls in the center is by using your hot glue gun. I am using the Gilt Trip. However, there's different colors of pearls you can use in the center. So you can choose your favorite. So we're just going to go ahead and put a nice puddle of glue. Pull away pretty quickly and just sprinkle those pearls over the top. Press down with your finger. Pop it off, and look at that. Isn't that just stunning? I love how simple that is, and yet it looks pretty complicated, but so easy. Okay. So let's get these pearls out of here and utilize the glitter. So these are our favorites. The crystal glitter, there is also one called frosting powder, and is beautiful for your Christmas projects, especially items that you want to have a little bit more of a white effect. Because people ask me what's the difference between crystal clear and frosting powder. So frosting powder has a little bit more of a white effect, so think snow, you can do frosty poinsettias, all that stuff. So that is what your frosting powder is or does. This one has more of your clear effect, so you can do whichever one you want. I utilized the crystal on the others, so I'm going to stick with that today. However, both of them would work fine. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I do that glitter. So what you'll want to do is, have you seen the glitter before? I'm always kind of a sucker for glitter. So just put a nice puddle of glue on your sponge. And so simple, but this is a great way to get that glitter onto your projects. Sponge those birdies, sponge the entire image. And just, I don't do a lot, just a little bit, so that it doesn't gunk up, but it gives you a nice smattering of glitter. Okay, you see that? Same way with the candle, I'll just add a little bit of glitter in there on the berries, and just kind of around this. Tap that off. And do you see how that candle is, well, you can't really see it, but there is glitter on there, it's gorgeous. And then the rest, I just really add a lot of glue and glitter. You can kind of experiment what your happy medium is, if there is something like that. Thank you. Maggie said you just love the way you color. Thank you, thank you. Laura, you said you freeze them. I was like, wait, what are you freezing? We're talking about the pancakes. I'm following. Yes, I like to freeze things like that too, so that you can quickly and easily pull them out. That's brilliant. Okay. So there we go. And then the poinsettias, you can just hold those up, squeeze around those tips, and you have those glittery poinsettia tips. So it's kind of like I'm chewing around the edges, taking a bite out of the edges to get the glue around there. And then just sprinkle that glitter over the top. And you are good to go. Do you see that glitter sparkle? Oh, it's so pretty. Okay, so once you're finished creating your embellishments, you're ready to put those on, which is super exciting and fun. So we're gonna go back to our original box that we started out with on our journey together today. And this is how it looks. So what you're gonna do is just start by adding your holly leaves, and then adding your poinsettias and adding little birdies in the center. So as you are doing these, yours might turn out differently than mine, and mine don't always turn out the same. So I'm gonna bring out the pieces that I have so I can easily see what's in front of me, which I think is just so inspiring. Don't you just love seeing all those pieces all glittered? This is another piece that is really pretty that you can add. So those are fun. You've got lots of berries. Main key when you're doing something like this is just make sure you have plenty. So you can add more or less depending on what you're doing. So this one has the smaller poinsettias, 2 of those layered on top of each other. All the poinsettias are the smallest one, with the exception of this one is the next size up. So is it the next size up? Hang on. This one's from the small festive poinsettia, and it's this size. There we go. That's the largest size that we're using. And then we're using one size from this one, which is this size. Okay, so here we go. So again, you can add these however you like. I am going to start by putting a base of berries down, and then we'll fill in with the rest, and you can add yours however you like. However, this will give you a great concept on how I start layering my pieces together. So have it onto your project, and you can also lay everything out, take a picture of it, and then glue it back together again if you wanted to do that. So the first poinsettia is going to be a little bit behind the one that's sitting on top. So what you can do is just glue that one in, and then you can bring this one in. And then you can go back and add another cluster of holly leaves behind it. I'm going to pull this one off a little bit so I can stick it in there a little bit easier. So we're going to come in and we're going to park that right in there. Okay. And then you can go back and add these little pieces of hollies. You can just save them a little bit. You can pull them apart, and you can just put these little clusters on the side, which is really pretty. So that is one piece that I do pull apart quite a bit, which makes your pieces go a lot longer, which I absolutely love. So don't be afraid to pull things apart, layer them, all that fun stuff. So that's where we're at right now with that. We'll grab some more berries. Actually, I'm going to use these berries that we picked out of that bottom leaf. So no berries get harmed or left behind. There we go. So we got those berries up in there. And then we've got 2 little birdies. It is a left and a right. So we're going to go ahead and pop these in. You might decide that you want to add a little bit different style of birds in here. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to cut this off a little bit so I can nestle it in easier, just with the way mine is. So it just kind of sits right on top of that one poinsettia leaf. It's just snuggled right in there. And ta-da. Okay, so then I'm going to grab this one, and let's see. I'm just going to see where I want this one. Yeah, I'm going to sit that one right up in there. Sometimes when it comes to the last pieces, I'll just kind of set them in a little bit, make sure it is sitting how I want it to. Okay. Just like that, you have that beautiful cluster. Isn't that just so pretty? Just love it. Yes, and then you can go ahead and you can slide those belly bands on, off, all the fun stuff. So you're good to go with that. Okay, so our next one is going to be our slider box, and this one we're going to add our lantern on first, and we're going to go ahead and put that one in this section. Okay, if you wanted to put a little bit of a 3D dot on that lantern, you could. I'm just going to puddle up some hot glue behind it so that kind of stands up a little bit more. Oops, I just made that hot glue kind of string out there. Okay, so you've got that one. And then our next step is going to be adding some extra berries that kind of go off the side of this. And I'm going to, since we had a little bit of a goof with the angle up here, I'm going to go ahead and add some berries up in this section so that covers that. So we're just going to go ahead and do that so you can see how that all comes together then at the end. Okay, so I've got one here. If you wanted to, you could put the small berry sprig in here, but I'm going to wait till I have a poinsettia in that section. So 2 small poinsettias again. So we're going to go ahead and lock one right in here. And then we're going to go ahead and add another one kind of off to the side a little bit. It's just a little bit down. And then we'll add one of those berry sprays in the middle. So tell me how you're doing. Are you liking to see this all come together like this? So much fun. So much fun. It's like putting the frosting on the cake. I always get so excited when I see it come together. No matter how many times I've done something, it's just so beautiful. Oops. You know what? Let's pull this down just a little bit. There we go. Okay. So next I'm going to add some of my berry sprays in here. And let me see. This one I'm just going to go ahead and have a large cluster of those berries. I'll do that in there. I'm going to grab this leaf. I'm going to tuck it right in here. And little birdies. Okay, so this one, we have some extra birdies, so I'm going to put one up in here. I think I'm going to add one right in this section, okay? So that is an extra. I'm just going to add in there. Okay. There we go. So it looks like it was meant to live there. And then if you wanted to add some more berries in here, you can, totally up to you. I think I'm going to add just another little string of berries in this section. Okay. Do you like that? This berry is kind of sticking up, or those leaves are kind of sticking up a little bit higher. And then you can also go ahead and decorate this side. This side is using 1 poinsettia. And we'll see if we need to add a little bit more leaves or berries because of how we were lining it up. But by the time we're all finished, you and I are going to know what we did here. Okay, so here are some hollies. I'm going to bring these in. And this one I'll angle over on this side just a little bit more, like that. And we'll have one coming kind of on this side as well. And then we'll utilize a little bit of more birdies up in here. So this one, sadly, we're just going to use the top part. So I am going to just pull that off. However, you could always, let's see, we might be able to tuck that one in somewhere else. So that's how that one's going to sit up there. And you know what? We are going to tuck this one in right down here. Isn't that pretty? I love it. So when you pull something apart or you pull something off, always think, where could I tuck it in? That's just kind of a piece that's sitting there. See? Super, super stunning. Love, love how that came together. Ronnie Sue said, I love those little birdies. I know they're like your crafting friends when you're making these. They just give you warm, fuzzy feelings. Okay, I think we're all set with this one. And last but not least is the basket. And since this one we are doing on the handle, I might have to turn it to the side if things slide, if I'm having it up and down, but we'll see. So we'll start out by putting the largest poinsettia just right nestled right above that button. so you can see the button just a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and start adding our poinsettia leaves and berries. And you can just have some fun decorating this however you like. But if you have plenty of pieces that are all colored, it makes it super easy for it to come together. I'm going to go ahead and put another one kind of up in this direction, and then we'll add our last poinsettia. Okay, there we go. Up in here. And we'll set one of our little birdies in this section as well. I just love these little sweet peas. Okay, there we go. And then the rest of the birdies, you can kind of have them hiding out wherever you prefer. Let's see, we'll bring this one in here. Okay. And then these little guys, I think I'm just going to tuck them right in there. Does that look good? I think I like those right in there. That's not really the way the original sample was, but I like those. I like that. That opening looks like it was just meant for them. And then if you wanted to go back, I have quite a few berries, sprays, and leaves left over. These are just really phenomenal fillers that you can go back and you can pop in kind of however you prefer to just add that extra pizzazz to it. One of you said these are gorgeous and too nice to give it away. That's one thing, you know, if you make them early, you get to have them in your craft room for quite a while before you'll need to give them away, which I guess is an added bonus to making your projects early in the year, right? We'll add some little berries to that birdie. We'll add some more little berries down in here. And you could keep on going. Like, I mean, seriously, like, who's telling me to stop? I think I want to add some more berries down here. I feel like I don't want to stop, but okay. Let's put these in right here. There we go. Okay. So you can keep on going. You could do the other side too if you wanted to, but that is the basics of creating these sweet little projects using the baskets. Together we have accomplished quite a bit today, and I think you are going to have so much fun when you create with these. So I can't wait to see yours. You can take pictures of your projects as you go through them. And as a thank you for participating in today's class, we were talking about paper pads. You qualify for a free paper pad with a $50 purchase. That paper pad code is 062823, and it expires on July 1st. So make sure that you take advantage of that. So that is a free paper pad with a $50 purchase, and that code is 062823, and that expires on July 1st. So let's take another look at what we've created together today, and then I get to show you what we'll be creating together at the end of July, which I'm super excited about. It will be another Christmas project. So with this, we'll just take another look at this beautiful little box. Like, can you imagine receiving this for Christmas, having a sweet little gift on the inside? I think this would be great to put like little gift cards. You could put handmade chocolates, jewelry, you name it. Super pretty. So you can leave me some comments on what you see yourself putting in these baskets. I love the idea of putting handmade cards into this basket as well. And here's another variation utilizing one of the other slimline dies and decorating those with the paper. Which is absolutely stunning too. So lots of variations on what you can do just based on using your creativity with these. So hopefully you will get started soon with this and have as much fun as I did with these. So with that, did you want to see the projects that we are going to be creating together at the end of July? Before I do that, one other thing I wanted to tell you is if you leave a comment, not a comment, a review. There's a link right underneath the screen. When you leave a review and you let us know what you loved about this class, you'll be entered to win a $100 shopping spree. Just make sure you do that by July 1st. If you're like me, it's great to do it right away so you don't forget about it. So you can do that. I can't wait to see who is going to win that. And again, that free paper pad code with a $50 purchase is 062823, and that expires on July 1st. So we just launched the preview page for the holiday ornament collection today. If you didn't see that, you can go to heartfeltcreations.us and click on the collections tab, and that is going to show you that collection that is launching in July. That is launching to everybody on July 12th. Insider members have first access on the 11th. If you're an insider member, I definitely would highly recommend that you make sure you are there on the 11th so that you don't miss out on that. It is, I don't know when things will sell out. It is a guess. I just wanted to make sure you know about that. So in July, we will be back to show you how to create another beautiful okay, here we go. I'm like, we're still on the front view, like trying to push this one around. Like, wait, where is it? So this is a different type of project with a magnetic flap that I think you'll absolutely love. We will be focusing on learning how to do ornaments. Do you see how these beautifully hang? I love this. We'll be doing a beautiful stair-step card. I know there's different ways people call these. We'll be doing vellum poinsettias, and these are going to be pretty simple as far as coloring. It's just gold embossing. I can't give away all my secrets. I just go right into teaching the next one, and then we'll be doing a hanging ornament as well. So it'll be lots of fun. I can't wait to see you there. Insider members have automatic access. If you are not an insider member, you can also register, pay the $30, and that is your class to keep. So with that, thank you so much for joining me today. I can't wait to see your photos of what you made from today's class on social media. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you at the end of July for our next holiday ornament class. We'll see you then. Bye.